Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, or good morning, or whatever time it is where you're watching this. Cole here with the episode 18 of Questions for Cole. Just one question came in this week. It's a fun one, but I'm going to expand on it and share something else with you too. The question was, Cole, in one of your earlier episodes, you talked about your favorite foods. What are your least favorite foods? Well, I like to believe that I'm not really a fussy or picky eater, but there are some foods that I have to admit that I don't like. I can eat them or drink them as the case may be, and I sometimes do, but I just don't seem to like the taste of certain things. Okay, here's the list. Oh, and I hope you're all writing this down for future reference. Cole's least favorite foods. Oh, just a moment. Make sure we know what we're doing here. Okay, Cole's least favorite foods. Raisins. Yes, I know some of you already know this one, and you tease me about it relentlessly whenever we have something at the church with raisins in it. I actually don't mind the hard, chewy ones that come in Raisin Bran, but the squishy, juicy ones, ugh. Oh, unless they're in butter tarts, and then I don't seem to mind them, probably because the rest of the butter tart is so good that it kind of cancels out the raisin part. Okay, next, and some of you know about this one too, and again, you tease me relentlessly about this. Coffee. Yes, I know. The question always is, how can you be a minister and not like coffee? It's not easy, but I manage. It's even more difficult because of the next one on my list. Tea. No, I don't like the taste of coffee or tea. Never have. Sometimes I can't help but make a face when I taste it. Ugh. Once in a while, I'll be invited over to someone's place for a pastoral visit, and they've already got a cup of coffee or tea poured and waiting for me. Well, it would be rude to refuse it, I think, so I soldier on and pour a lot of sugar and cream into it. Doesn't help. And I sip away at it. But I always worry that I'm going to make that face when I take a sip, and that face that I make might offend my host. So it's quite a traumatic experience, I must say. Anyway, make a note of that. Water is fine, juice, hot chocolate. Also, I'm fine without anything to drink. It's not like I'm fussy or picky. Not really. I should say I'm getting less picky as I mature. Maybe that's not quite the right word to use. I'm getting less picky as I age. I used to avoid anything green, especially vegetables, when I was a kid, but that's changed over the years. I quite like almost all vegetables now. And it doesn't hurt that my wife's a fantastic cook. But there are things that I don't like. I don't like sushi. I don't like licorice. I don't like most candies. Chocolate, yes. Candies, no. I don't like liver. I don't like beer. I don't like sauerkraut. I don't like turnips. I don't like crunchy onions. So if you're making egg salad sandwiches, you might want to make a special notation beside that one, especially for a church luncheon or something that I might be invited to. Maybe I am fussy. No, I don't think so. Okay, last but not least, I don't like Dr. Pepper. Tastes like medicine to me, which kind of makes sense since if you think about it, it's named after a doctor. And I think that's all I'm going to list today. I can't think of any others off the top of my head. If I think of any others that I dislike, I will pass them along to you. Don't worry. But I do want to expand on that last one a little bit because there's a wonderful little article written about Dr. Pepper that I want to share with you. Some of you will have already heard this because I used it with a small group a year or so ago, but it might be new to the rest of you. This comes from an anonymous author who loves the taste of Dr. Pepper and wrote this little piece about its ingredients. Let me read it. He or she says, I love Dr. Pepper. After going a whole year without soda, it's the only kind that I still like. And it has to be the real stuff. No other brand is the same. I always say the difference between Dr. Pepper and Mr. Pibb is that Dr. Pepper went to school for longer and so must have learned more about how to taste good. Then one day I got curious and looked up what the 23 flavors were, and it's the craziest combination of anything you could imagine. For fun, think for a second about what a few of them might be. A good many of these might surprise you, and they list them, and so I'm going to list them. 23 of them. Ready? Amaretto, almond, blackberry, black licorice, carrot, clove, cherry, caramel, cola, ginger, juniper, lemon, molasses, nutmeg, orange, prune, plum, pepper, root beer, rum, raspberry, tomato, and vanilla. Seriously, they continue, who would have thought to put all these random things together and see if they'd taste good? Who knew that person would be right? I kept looking at that list and just couldn't wrap my mind around all of them possibly being so perfect together, especially when I don't like so many of them by themselves, like tomato, pepper, prune, licorice. Then I thought, God does that all the time. Think of the kinds of groups God sticks together to do God's work. The disciples, 12 people from different walks of life, fishermen and tax collectors, Jews and Gentiles, and by what we can gather from Scripture and what we know about human nature, all different personalities and gifts. And churches. Few people would say that their congregation is made up of all completely like-minded people who instantly appear to work perfectly together. And I think anyone who would doesn't know their church or family very well. Isn't that interesting? And isn't that true? Our church, just like every other church, is made up of all sorts of different people. Some of you are the caramel, some of you are the licorice. Some of you are the rum, some of you are the prunes. You know who you are. But it all seems to work for good. So thank you for being you. Thank you for being part of the church family. And thank you for tuning in this week. Send your questions to cole@selkirkunitedchurch.ca. Blessings, and God be with you.